Natural market, peace. Three. Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me? Okay, good, good. Oh, you say you tried to sub to Patreon? It wouldn't let you. What's going on with it? No doubt. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, one of the things we're gonna do on Patreon is, well, not one of the things is, well, one of the things we're gonna do is talk about astrology on the Patreon side and numerology, etymology, um, mythology, metaphysics as an overarching science, uh, physiology. You know, what I'm looking to accomplish with Patreon is make it, I used to do all the different tiers. You do this tier, you get this, you do that. I just want to make it one. Um, thank you, thank you. I just want to make it one simple membership. Not trying to beat it anybody over the head. $5, and it's a place where you can. It's like gonna be a buffet. So, and it helps me to have a place to organize all of these downloads I get and synthesize it. I appreciate that, but nah, no need. Just $5 a month you know, is enough. And I just trying to make it to where the core people who watch my channel and who really um, are into studying and application to have a place to come and gather. Um, Even though it's virtually, it still is a gathering place because we're in a new world. And one thing that this past couple of years has taught us is we've had to learn the power of being able to gather virtually, and might as well take advantage of it while we at least have the ability to, because we don't know what the future holds. Um, I'm especially excited about this new moon coming up in Leo. I have a lot to share about how to approach this, um, i.e., my approach, how I approach new moons and working with that energy, and some unique perspectives to share. Because we all hear, anywhere you go on the internet, you can hear, well, the new moon is the time to plant seeds and plant your intentions, set your intentions, and but there's more to it than that. What type of intentions are best to plant and seed based on the type of new moon, based on what sign the moon is in. And that comes back to agriculture. And it still ties into our conversation today because all of this stuff just ties into each other. And it's so vast. I just had to try to scribble some notes, but it's only so much I can even put it all together unless you just make this into a book. Um, so, as you see, the title is The Destiny of Melanin. This is part 2, and it's subtitle Marika. Now, why Marika? All right. One thing is interesting is when the 45th president was in office, one thing he said early on was he came to drain the swamp. What's up? Noble B said, I'm a Taurus. All right. So, yes, you identify strongly with Venus, right? So, here's the thing. We're gonna get into that because that ties into the conversation, of course. Um, um, so the 45th president said he was going to drain the swamp. Now, we heard all the different talking points about what that was supposed to represent, and he came to do this and that, and he's gonna roll on the deep state and this and that. But let's think deeper and more abstractly about that. He came to drain the swamp. That's interesting. So I mentioned this book before, the Encyclopedia of Ancient Deities. And the fact that this is the same book as the Dictionary of Ancient Deities. All right. So in here, they have a very short section on a goddess named, here's my light, on a goddess named Marika, spelled Marica. And it's the name of the Greek sorceress. Now, Marika coincides with Cersei. Okay? But first, let's deal with Marika. And this is why we study linguistics. We study everything. Okay? Look at the Hebrew aspect, Indo-European, anything else we can get our hands on. But those are some of the easier ones for us to access, and they give us clues back to more ancient thought and the intention of a more distant ancient past. Whenever you say the letter M phonetically, you cannot say the M without including a vowel. M. See it's the m, the m, to start that sound and complete it. You have to have a vowel. M, or am. It's either going to be M, EM, or AM. So you can't say the M without including a vowel. So even if we just write the letter M, it suggests that there is a vowel already attached to it. So Marika is really Marika. M, M. Listen to the or am. So Marika is really am Marika. Okay. Now, so Marika as am Marika is the same as America, which coincides with Cersei. From Cersei, we get the word circle. Okay. From Cersei, we also get the word coven, because a coven and a circle are the same. We also get the word church. The real meaning of a church is a circle. My grandmother never used to sing the song, "Let the circle be not broken, by and by, by and by." Um, so Cersei is circle, which is America. Um, so, like I said, they don't have much on her in here, but you can go up here and look at Cersei, and it gives you a little more information. Cersei is now. Here's something very interesting about Cersei. She is the daughter of the sun. All right, but it says Cersei dwells alone in the western island of Aya, denoting the setting sun. Okay. In America, where are we said to be living? We're called the West. Okay. Cersei dwells alone in the western island of Aya, denoting the setting sun. Her visitors are changed into animals. Aya is one of the two islands of the same name. Aetes' abode was the eastern island, denoting the rising sun. Okay. Sidebar. What does Aete, Aeete, sound like? Aete, Haiti. Another clue. Okay. But let's just stick to Marika and Cersei. Here's a document I found online. At the top, you see it says Dia Marika. The name Dia Marika is a descriptive title, not a proper name, meaning goddess of the salt marshes in the Volscian language. Okay, so I'll skip to some of the things I highlighted about this. So they're talking about the Marika I just mentioned, which is Cersei. In Roman legend, Dia Marika was the wife, sometimes mother, of the god Faunus. Who is Faunus? That's Pan, an oracular forest god who was equated with the Greek Pan. She was the mother of King Latinus, whose daughter was Lavinia. wife of Aeneas. And so Dea Marika could be considered an ancestress of the Latin and therefore Roman people. Perhaps this is part of why she was associated with the goddess Venus, the mother of Aeneas, whose descendants were to found Rome, though there was also some confusion in imperial ties between Venus's epithet Marina of the sea and the similarly spelled Marika, which is Marica. Latinus had ties to Jupiter and may have been an incarnation or epithet of him. Okay, so it goes on to say that Dea Marika was called the enchantress or sorceress who was said to be able to turn travelers into animals. She was associated with the great Greek sorceress Kirk, which is Cersei, who also had a thing for changing men into animals. Okay, so this same document here, or this document, now connects Marika to Cersei and also to Venus. Now, also remember, this goddess is associated with salt marshes. Salt marshes coincide with swamps. Peace, Rena. Thank you for joining. Marika is the goddess of salt marshes. She's also the goddess of swamps. So check this out. Guess what? At least I didn't learn about this in school. History of wetlands in the conterminous United States. Conterminous just means states that border each other or the land masses that border each other. Okay, the landlocked uh, geographical area of America, conterminous. History of the wetlands in the conterminous United States. Okay, you can Google this. Read a little bit. At the time of European settlement in the early 1600s, the area that was to become the conterminous United States had approximately 221 million acres of wetlands. About 103 million acres remain as of the mid 1980s. Six states lost 85% or more of their original wetland acreage. 22 lost 50% or more. Even today, all the effects of these losses might not be fully realized. Well, for one thing, we're realizing it right now. All this talk about global warming and that we need to reduce the carbon footprint. Especially the heat wave in America right now, or Marika, ties back to this draining the swamps or the wetlands. Okay. It says from an ecological perspective, it is important to understand how the loss of wetlands affects fish, wildlife, and the environment as a whole. Wetland drainage began with permanent settlement of colonial America throughout the 1600s and 1700s. Okay, and this thing goes on, just goes in depth about the wetland drainage all the way from 200 and something years ago up until now. Okay, all right. So we know we're in America. I'm just keep going back over so we can piece this all together. We're obviously in America, and America coincides with Marika. Marika is a goddess of the West. Okay, we are in the West, and she also is a goddess of salt marshes, which is the same as swamps, which is the same as wetlands. And she coincides with Venus. Okay, Robert Graves, in his book Greek Myths, we just go real quick because in the Greek mythology, Venus, the Roman goddess, becomes who? Aphrodite. Aphrodite. So what I'm doing, I'm just showing you how I piece this stuff together. So now I want to go here. Aphrodite. Let's look up Aphrodite. Aphrodite. Yeah, it might not be in this one. Uh, yeah, in this one, she's the mist, she's the cloud. But let me see. Let me go back to Robert Graves. 'Cause in his book, I think he broke it down about Aphrodite. Bear with me one second. Let's see. 6.6. I know I got this page marked. Where is she at? Aphrodite. Aphrodite. Come on, Jamal. 11. Was it in 11? Bear with me one second because I want to read it so it'll hit home. Where is Aphrodite? In a nutshell, Aphrodite means dark. But I want to give you the actual reference. Neb. Okay, when as with Neb as the origin, it's mist, cloud, moist, but that's not the one I was looking for. Basically, she traces back. Aphrodite is dark goddess. I know it'll pop up when I ain't looking for it. But she's a dark goddess, okay? Let's look up Venus in here. Maybe that's why I'm messing up. Venus. Here we go. Here we go. AUE. First of all, Venus is going to tie because Aphrodite is Venus, is Marika, is Cersei. Okay? So Venus is going to come back to water, wave. All right? She's going to also be, so there's the water part. Then there's DHEU, DHEU, smoke, dust, hence rise, fly about. There's a spiritual aspect of Venus. Then there's U-E-N. U-E-N. Then there's desire. So Venus is water, desire, spirit. All right. Then there's Cersei. Because this Cersei, I think, is going to connect us to the dark. Let's see. Cersei, where is Cersei? Okay. And it ties back to the same. Okay. So Marika is the wetlands, Venus, Aphrodite, which is water, which ties into the wetlands again. It's spirit, it's desire, and it's also she's the dark goddess. Also called Marika, Venus, Aphrodite, Kirk, Cersei, and Jevia. I wanted to find the actual, but either way. Okay. Venus, if you look in the Bible, there's a scripture in the Song of Solomon where it's Sheba talking to Solomon, and she refers to herself as dark and comely. Okay? If you know anything about Spanish, the word come, C-O-M-E, in Spanish is venir. Venir is V-E-N-I-R. What's the root of that word? V-E-N. Comes again back to Venus. Venus, the first word, letters of Venus is V-E-N. Venir in Spanish means to come. Okay? I am dark and comely. All right. There's another association with the dark of Venus. Now, if something is the etymology of the word come is it comes from a root G-U-A. This is the root that the word come comes from, G-U-A. And it means to go and come. So what does that mean? If something is going and something is coming, then eventually what do they form? Forms a circle. Now, if you ever seen the Ouroboros, the snake biting its own tail, it's coming and going, that refers back to Venus. And all these other goddess, uh, uh, other names that I've given, all right? What I'm trying to say in a nutshell, just to start off, is that where we are in America has a natural revolutionary tone to it. A revolution means you start at a point and you bend and you go around until you reach the point where you started. So you go away from the point and then you start coming back to the point. The word come means to go and come. So come really means a circle. I am black and comely. I am the circle. I am completion. This place here that we're in is the great completion. This is the showdown. Why is it that when you go like on social media, if you go on YouTube or any other thing, people from other countries, they'll talk about what's going on in their place, but you know what they always end up talking about? What's going on in a Marika in America. It always comes back to here because this is the place. This is the great mixing bowl of the West. This is the final frontier, which leads me to this. This book is the Superman Files. And when you read this story, just the beginning, just the framework in the beginning, you know, Superman's character is called Cowl. Now, that's a Hebrew name, and Cowl means cursed. Okay? And so the story goes that there was a war on Krypton. Krypton means death. Now, what sign in the zodiac would coincide with death, or one of the two main signs? One of them is Scorpio. Scorpio is the underworld. Okay? Krypton, death. All right? Scorpio also, that's right, cursed God. And so Krypton is where the curse is, or it begins. Okay? So we're talking about Scorpio. So as his parents are facing imminent death, they put Kal-El into a capsule. And this is the capsule that they show. They put him in. Kal-El. Now, what does that look like? That's the pineal gland. Kal-El, Superman, and notice the colors: blue, red, and yellow. Those are the primary colors. You mix them together, they make brown. Brown is the color of what? Honey, melus, melanin, melanin. Superman is the code name for melanin. And melanin is the gift and the curse. Now, so it is put into a time capsule and sent into another dimension, another world. Now, the word curse does not necessarily mean something negative. Let's make that clear. The word curse means to run through. What do you do when you're writing cursive? You let your letters run together. That's cursive. Peace, Brianna. Hope y'all doing well. Um, so Kal-El, the curse, means something is running from another dimension into another, from one dimension into another. All right. That capsule I showed you is also the equivalent of excrement, feces. The curse of Scorpio is that it holds on to the toxins from the previous life. It is the toxins that had to be eliminated, feces. And so this is why Scorpio and curse is the gift and the albatross. Okay, this is what I'm saying. In feces or shit lives life and death. Life and death are found in feces. If you eat feces, you'll be taking the toxins. It can kill you. But in that same toxic structure of being eliminated from the body, it holds the keys to life because the feces has to find its way to go underground, Scorpio, underworld. And in that underworld is where those nutrients contained within the feces are unleashed and they are transformed. Alchemy. And through their transformation, they condition the soil so that when a new seed is planted, then vegetation can grow. That vegetation that grows and grows into something beautiful that can be enjoyed and marveled at for its beauty, or it can be eaten and enjoyed for its taste and the nutrients it provides, is Taurus. And Taurus is ruled by what? By whom? Venus. A Marika, Cersei, Kirk, Aphrodite. And that helps complete the circle of life. The circle of life has ingestion on one end and decomposition and elimination on the other. We're called the great mixing bowl of the West because this is, think like on the most crude level, this mixing bowl is a toilet. Everything comes and mixes and ugh, the muck, you know. But from that, the new reality will emerge. It has to be here. Peace, more acres. So, just to give you some material here, just to kind of go over the Cabalion. We're all familiar with the Cabalion. What does the Cabalion lead off and say? The mind is all, and all is mental. Once again, that denotes the circle. Now, if you go and look at a lot of churches, you will see this symbol. I'm going to take this circle and I'm going to convert it into something that we've all seen. Here, 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 bam, 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 bam. That circle becomes this. That's called the solar cross. Now, in traditional astrology, the ruler, the glyph, no, sorry. In traditional astrology, the ruler of Scorpio is Mars. Okay, Pluto wasn't discovered till 1930 and then incorporated into the mix. In traditional astrology, it's Mars. Mars is the god of war. What was going on Kryptonite, on Krypton? War. Okay, it was a Martian environment. What would be the opposite of Mars? Who is Mars' natural lover? It's his opposite, his complement. It's Venus. Well, here's the deal. When you look at most literature now, the glyph for Mars is written like this. See that? That's Mars. But that's not the way it's always been written. Mars is this, and this gives you the clues. That's Mars. See that? Okay. And what you have is Mars is driven by matter. So the cross represents matter, and the circle represents spirit. Spirit beneath matter, matter above spirit. Well, Mars' natural opposite is this, what you all already know. This symbol, that's Venus. Look at those. See how they complement and oppose each other? So when you look at this symbol you see on a lot of churches that the average Christian does not know about, and a lot of other people don't know, it is the merger of Venus and Mars. Venus is spirit above matter. Mars is matter above spirit. So Earth is the plane where we settle the polarities and the supposed conflict between those two realities. And it results in this, the marriage. That's the earth glyph. It's the same as this up here. It is the marriage between Mars and Venus, or in Tarot, the lover's card. Okay? Think about this. Venus rules Taurus. Mars in traditional astrology rules Scorpio. You can look place after place. You're going to see the story of these two being played out. This axis being played out. And this is very pertinent right now because we have the nodes in Taurus and Scorpio. We're experiencing the archetypes of creation toiling right now. We're seeing all types of things come up from the underworld, Scorpio. We're seeing threats to security, natural resources, our ability to enjoy just a common meal, to be able to have gas in your vehicle. Those are threatened. So that's Taurus and Scorpio. When you go into the Bible, the book of Genesis begins with a dilemma that involves um, the Scorpio Taurus axis. Remember, they said they were in the garden, everything was beautiful, Garden of Eden. Okay, they didn't want for anything. That's Taurus. That's why the bull in Taurus is not fast to move, because it is more driven by the enjoyment of nature and the luxuries and the delectable uh, this asshole, the delectable treats that nature has to offer. Most Taurians really have a strong palate. They really love good food, you know. They love nice things, uh, beautiful things. Uh, and so they had this, but it wasn't enough, okay? The serpent comes along and says, "You are blissfully ignorant. There is so much you don't know, okay? Here is this apple. Eat from this, and you will have the knowledge that you don't even know you don't know." The apple, which would be the Macintosh apple, learn this from C. Freeman L. When you cut that apple in half, guess what you see? A five-pointed star, the star of Venus. So, in other words, you think you have the delectable trappings right now. You think you have seen beauty, but you will not see the true beauty until you have dug into the muck. You've gone into the inside. And it is a serpent who presents them with the apple. The serpent is one of the signs of Scorpio. Cowl comes from one world into another. Scorpio. Adam and Eve are presented with an opportunity for deeper. Scorpio is deep. Scorpio does not want superficial relationships. Scorpio wants deep relationships. Scorpio is intense. Scorpio can be obsessive. But they had to experience the darkness to appreciate the beauty. Otherwise, the beauty that they were experiencing was fleeting. It was all superficial. That story coincides with the story of Marika, which would suggest that everything that has been experienced has been a necessity. Everything has been a necessary tool to realize something that we can't fathom at the moment. Because ultimately, Scorpio is a transformative energy and it is not working against Taurus, it is looking to work with it. All right. Hope I'm making sense. Because now I want to go to this is the Hermetica. This is page 361. Thus, the same animals which some cities think it right to worship and revere are in other cities held in small esteem. And this, Asclepius, is the reason why the cities of Egypt are wont to make war on one another. Moreover, in time to come, the rulers of the land will be made gods, and their worship will be established in a city at the very border of Egypt, a city which will be founded towards the setting sun. Now, I hope y'all's been with me because we talked about Cersei, sorceress of the setting sun. We talked about Marika, her associated with the wetlands, the salt marshes. And the 45th president said he came to drain the swamp, which would suggest that we've been experiencing and watching, and some of our great teachers already alluded to this years ago, a war amongst a certain faction of people who are warring for the control of dark matter, i.e., melanin. And you've heard all this before, but we're living, we're seeing it actually manifest and play out before us right now. But what does this mean for the destiny of melanin, though? One thing is for sure, there's been a lot of suffering. There's been a lot of suffering. And it has caused a lot of angst, a lot of disillusion, a lot of continued rifts and fights, and, you know, different factions feel like they have hit it on the head as to what, quote unquote, we need to be doing. This information would suggest that, as I said in another video, melanated people are 3D prints of the Venus archetype. And ultimately, what is Venus? She is the goddess of love. I went through and said she goes back to water. Water hydrates, water soothes, water can cut too. Water also facilitates birth as Venus relates to the moon. Venus is spirit. So there's a higher reaching desire with her efforts. And she is pure desire. On a physical level, desire is the necessary component to continue life. Desire coinciding with love are necessary to continue life on a pure physiological level. Two members of the opposite sex need to desire each other to participate in the love act, which then can give birth to a new reality or continue life. Because we've been beat down so much, mentally, physically, spiritually, I understand the mindset of we got to take these intruders out, we got to do something with them, we got to. But if we look at this thing from the greater perspective, we are the parents. We are the parents. Now, I'm not speculating on this. I'm going off of scholarship. And one of the greatest books written, everybody should have this, Celestial Ship of the North. It'll tell you in that Osiris represents truth. Now, the word truth from their root is the same as tree. And tree has the trunk. The trunk coincides with Taurus. The neck, the trunk, the neck. Okay? Because this is the truth. It's in the middle of the body. It allows the head to see this way and that way. And to have the truth, you need to be able to do this up, down, side to side. The truth. Osiris is the truth. In one of the mythologies, he's buried in the tree. Isis is desire. Isis is the womb. Together, Osiris and Isis taught man how to cultivate wheat. Etymologically, the word wheat and Venus mean the same thing, and they actually mean the word thing. The word thing, etymologically, is the same as Venus and wheat. And so in Kabbalah, Venus on the tree of life coincides with the sphere Netzik. Netzik means victory. Victory again coincides with thing. So the victory comes through the modality of Venus. And so victory, thing, wheat, they all coincide back to another thing, light. So Isis and Osiris taught man how to cultivate light. I read in one of the last times we talked the Gnostic scriptures, and it says that Sophia sent down 5 luminaries, Five. What's one of the numbers of Venus? Five. Five-pointed star. In Hebrew, when you take the word Cowl, KL, it means all. It also coincides with carbon. When you add the five to it, which is he, your he is five, then it becomes KLH, which means the bride. And now we're talking about the Hieros Gamos. We're talking about the union. And now we're looking in the aspect of Venus, which is Libra, because Libra deals with relationship or the balancing of the scales. Through this compression we've been through, it has pushed us to swing the pendulum from one side to the other. You may have grown up completely oblivious to religion, or you may have grown up in religion. But either way, the opposite is to go into pure chaos. Pure chaos. Now, if you've ever ridden on a seesaw, somebody got to be up, and somebody got to be down, and it never can remain static. It never can be stasis. Peace, straight panther. There can never be stasis on a seesaw as long as the pendulum swings. Something got to be up, something got to be down, vice versa. It is when the two people on the seesaw agree that we're going to try to balance this thing. That's when the seesaw does this. That's Libra, which again coincides with Venus. There's a generation, special generation, that was born here in America. And that generation was born between 1971 and 1983. They were born with Pluto in the sign of Libra, which is a place. It is technically it's not considered to be in its detriment, but Pluto, through taking on a Martian archetypal expression of tearing things up, it is almost in detriment in Libra, okay? Because that's the opposite of Aries. Uh, Libra is relationship. The people born from 71 to 83 have this task of rewriting the script on relationship, not just romantic relationship, but the whole idea of relationship. Period. Relationship with one-on-one relationship, relationship with the cosmos, relationship with yourself. Remember, we had this string of celebrities born in 71. Uh, Tupac, Biggie, I think they were born in either 70 or 71. You got DMX, born in 71. You have, um, what's my man to say? Like, whoa. Um, That was the only song I knew he had. I can't remember my man's name. He did the song like whoa, da 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 da, like whoa. Uh, I can't remember his name. Damn. One of y'all, so y'all know who I'm talking about. I think he was born in 71 or 70. One of the greatest comedians of all time was born in 70 71. Patrice O'Neal. Special energy. Okay. Black Rob. That's right. Appreciate y'all. Black Rob. That's it. Um, so I want to read something here from this book called Minerva. It's written by this lady. Damn, I gotta remember her name. Isabel Hickey. I want to read something. Uh, the highest aspect of Pluto in Libra will be into the ability to recognize love as the principle, not as an emotion. 1975 to 84 will be reaping years. Nature will be protesting the misuse of her resources, and the weather will prove this point. Okay, so jumping down, the souls that came into incarnation with Neptune and Saturn in conjunction in Libra, that was earlier, at their birth will be active and at work to usher in a new consciousness when Pluto goes over that conjunction. Many advanced souls have come in since 1945, and they will be the new leaders and statesmen. They may have chosen to come in and clear the planet of the demagogues and the greedy materialism which such persons represent. A purifying, albeit painful, process will be at work on the planet. Listen to this. The avatar of the Aquarian age is about his father's business. His activity started on the outer levels of the entrance of Pluto into Libra. Would you be surprised to find out he is already functioning and has chosen a black body in which to dwell? How many will recognize him? How many recognize the greatness in a Jewish carpenter? Now, this may not seem like much, but this is coming from a woman of European descent, and she was born in 1900, I want to say, either born in 1900 or 1910. So this is not some person who was born when, like what she's saying, she wrote this book in the 70s. For her to say this, I think she wrote it in 73. For her to say this, this is cutting edge. This is beyond taboo, you know, especially amongst her contemporaries. Astrologers now wouldn't even say nothing like that. And I've heard it's funny, you got to read people's stuff. I heard an astrologer said he was doing a review on books and he was saying, oh, he doesn't like Hickey's work, it's so judgmental and da 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 da. It may have been because of that little section I just read. So even today's astrologers, most of them, wouldn't say anything that bold. What ultimately is it saying? If it's referencing a Christ energy, and Isis and Osiris came to show man how to cultivate light, and Christ represents the light. It ultimately is saying that the revolutionary energy of Pluto and Libra and the great call on the planet is parenting. And I'm talking on all levels. Literally parenting one's own children. And we're also talking about a degree of self governance where one parents his or herself. I'm telling you right now, I'm seeing people as we approach this new moon and this conjunction with Uranus and Mars in the North Node. I'm telling you, I'm seeing people like in my neighborhood. And when you look at people, and I know I always get on this soapbox about how people drive, but it will show you the your highways and byways are the pulse of the consciousness of the people around you. Okay, that's why it's so important. The highway is the nervous system, and when people can't handle, they have not dealt with thinking beyond just like an animal. Then when things don't go their way, the nervous system just becomes explosive. And I'm watching people. I'm making a right turn into my complex, and the lady is, I got the right of way. She's trying to make a left. She cuts me off as I'm turning to make a left. And when you look at them, they all are in a rage. I watched a guy, we got a little area, like a little park in our community. Took my children there to play for a little bit. Guys behind this lady, and he's just on her bumper, laying on the horn. She's just trying to park at her house. He zooms around her. Now, I'm talking about we in a residential, relatively quiet neighborhood. And so you're seeing where people are bugging out and they don't have the ability to parent or control or govern themselves, more so than the overseeing structure. The people are the problem we're dealing with. The people that we're surrounded by, because with enough pressure, the savage in them will come out. So that passage I just read and the mythological story about Isis and Osiris teach a man how to cultivate light or wheat is talking about parenting, especially in the West. Now, the other aspect of the parenting, you got your children, you got yourself, but we have to parent these children that we're living amongst. I was ready to go follow the woman through the neighborhood. You know, my wife is like, okay. And when she calls the police, you're going to be in the wrong. If I lose my cool, you know, then I become at the level of the children. And it's funny, one of the C. Freemanel's old lectures, he talked about how if that baby can get you to start cussing and raging and slapping, then that baby has mastered you. That child has mastered you. It's like, damn, man, that's something you got to sit with, you know, on multiple levels. Because the thing about it is the people are a lot more physically weak than they were years ago. You know, like even in the gym, everybody's got an edge and an attitude and they weak. Like my wife has to compete with men for dumbbells in the gym because they're weak. You walk around here strutting and you weak, you know. And I'm thinking I could break this MF in half. But Jamal, all you're serving is your ego. You got all this knowledge because you're going to snap and break them in half. And so that parenting is a vast concept. Those of us who were born in that area, that range from 71, I think, to 83, we have a special onus upon us, those of us who are enlightened. Um, Noble Beast says, I'm not weak. I don't know how you took that as me talking about you being weak. I don't even know you. I'm talking about the people I encounter. I don't know if you, I don't know what you, but yeah, you do have power. You're not weak. Um, I'm talking about my experience, people I encounter. You have to explain everything on the internet now. What I'm saying is not to come down on anybody if you can't lift a lot of weight in the gym. That is not what I'm talking about. Oh, okay, okay, all right, okay, I got you. My bad. Okay, all right, I got you. We're on the same page. Um, but I do want to clarify. I'm not saying this to be egotistical. I'm talking about the attitude of people. You know, because I can really have an attitude. I got the right. You know, if we're gonna put it in those mundane ways of thinking, what I'm saying is that there's an arrogance, there's an ignorant arrogance pervading the planet. And if you got any children, you know the child is the can be the most ignorantly arrogant little vessel. I can do that. I mean, because we all that's what children do. You know, we've all been children. We've all been teenagers, and your ego is just out of control. You think you can do anything. You know, there's no governor on you. Which is what the movie Minions is about. The movie Minions is about hormones. The minions were looking for a master. The minions, those little yellow creatures, are hormones. The hormones are looking for a master. And so we're seeing now what we're really being faced with. We just don't have the foe of Caesar. We got the foe of the common automatons that we're having to deal with. And so it comes down, and people don't like to hear this, but I'm seeing more and more, it comes down to love. Now, that word is misconstrued a lot. People tend to think that by saying that, it means you got to go around here and be a pacifist and, and let people run all over you and turn the other cheek and all. But it's not. Love takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of strength, you know. And I'm not saying literally going out here and loving on people, but the love is more so an understanding. Like the woman said in the passage I read, we're not talking about love as an emotion. We're talking about love as a reality. Love is a fire. We're talking about being engulfed in the fire. And that fire burns. It's a protector. It's the ultimate weapon. Now each person has to do their own due diligence to reach that idea of what this very esoteric love is. And part of the reason we study our charts is it says, man, know thyself. Knowing thyself is loving thyself. The more we know ourselves and we are studying the nature of all reality and understanding what life is, period. Life is love. That's what because life is fire. And everything comes out of fire. The Hebrew letters are fire. It's fire dancing. Those are the letters. The star, in the beginning was the word, right? And the word was with God, and the word was okay. But the word The stars were called little tongues in ancient times. The word comes from the tongue. And the stars, which is fire in the sky, were called little tongues. So we're coming back to fire and water, because the word is a wave, water. And we're talking about the water carries the fire. What's the word that encases that? It's called intuition. Being taught from within, from a fire that is encased in the internal water, intuition. The destiny of melanin is the West. It is here. It is right here. And it comes down to a very small few. And those small few are called the watchers. They're watchmen. The watchman watches the hearth in the village to make sure the fire does not go out. The watchman is also referred to as the carbonari, the keepers of the Kaaba stone, the fetchim. Now that's something we'll go into on Patreon. We're gonna break down all those terms. Well, what is that? The builders, the keepers of the flame, the Carbonari brothers, the Carbon brothers, the real Kaaba stone. All ties into what we're talking about today, i.e., your consciousness. I hope this makes sense. Uh, Noble Beast says, "What do you think of it being 5782 in the Hebrew Jewish year?" I don't know what time it is, to be honest. All I know is this, all I all we can pinpoint is cycles. So I just be it's so many calendars or collies. There's so many collies that we have, and the time has been so mixed up purposely that it's hard to pinpoint. Uh, the Ethiopian calendar says that it's um, 2015 right now. It's 7 years behind. So there's so many. I would just be blowing smoke to even try to. But what we can do is study uh, cycles. You know what I'm saying? Uh, we can study cycles. Um, and that is where, to me, astrology comes in. So it's such a pertinent science because it helps us locate ourselves cyclically, if that makes sense. Because anybody can play with the linear time, which is why we don't know what time it really is. But we still have some means of tracking cycles. And then we can go back and look at past cycles with those particular alignments and give us some idea of where we are and what is needed to be done, if that makes sense. Part of this love that I'm talking about is if it ties into a fire, then we should be careful to not put fire out, which is why in my last conversation I talked about, we don't need fascism, because what we got going on now is a lot of fascism, where it's if you don't see things the way I see it, then you're unevolved. Uh, you know, uh, we want to challenge each other, and it's nothing wrong with challenging if the ultimate goal is to learn. But if I want to challenge you because I want to just dethrone you, so to speak, or prove you wrong or show you up, then we're not moving from love. The love that we're talking about is should be the driving force. Meaning, I don't want to go out here and alienate anybody just for the sake of doing it. Now, I may say something may rub somebody the wrong way, but from my heart, it is not my intent to alienate anybody. Now, I want to be truthful as much as I can, based on what I know. So here's something to chew on. My old man back home was the first black person to have a job above that of a janitor at the Asheville Citizen Times. Okay, this was 1968, I think he was hired there, and he started out as a beat writer, and they trained him in photography. He worked his way up and eventually became the religion editor. What I came to find out about my old man is he had interviewed all types of people, including witches. The place I'm from is a hidden occult sentinel, because we live down in a valley surrounded by mountains. So it naturally forms a sanctuary. It forms a natural cauldron. Celebrities used to come from all around the world just to come and stay at the Battery Park Hotel because of the air, the mountain air, that we had. We had some of the best water in America. That's growing up as a child. We could drink water out the faucet. Literally, go in the bathroom at night, be thirsty. I'd go down under the sink and let the water run in my mouth. I wouldn't dare do nothing like that now. Um, so we had all types of groups that were there that we didn't know nothing about. Well, he would come across some of them. He got books that I have now. I inherited books on the Baha'i faith, on Wiccans. Uh, uh, I think he might have interviewed some Satanist church one time. All types of stuff. Now, as I reflect on that, where I'm at in life now, it says he was ahead of the curve to even consider talking to these people. Because my pops was born in 37. He grew up, we Baptist, Christian, he know nothing about no. Something in him, though, was curious. There was some type of fire. He was a Leo. Some type of fire that was burning that he was curious about something else. Now, he wasn't going to jump on anybody's bandwagon, but he wasn't going to condemn people either. What we have now that's happening is we have religious sects everywhere. It ain't just the church or the mosque or the synagogue that's religious. Religions are everywhere. People can make a religion out of being an occultist. They, being an atheist is a religion now. Being whatever can become a religion once you say, I'm not going to entertain anything outside of my scope. It becomes a religion because religion means to be bound. See what I'm saying? So even the person who constantly talks about religion is a problem. But what are you teaching though? How are you displaying your love? Love is a fire. So yeah, we know all about all of them and this and that, but what are you teaching? See, my mind works. I'm trying to find a through line. Where can everybody meet? Bobby Hemmer tell this story about he went to do a lecture and somebody told him that somewhere in South Carolina they used to have this church where they had all types of people in the church. They had people who worship voodoo, who were Yoruba, or Ifa. They had your basic Baptist. They had whatever denomination. They had it under one roof. Because you know what a church really means? Venus. Because church comes from Kirk, and Kirk comes from Cersei. And what did I tell you in the beginning? Cersei is Venus. Venus is Aphrodite. A Marika, America. So part of the love that must be demonstrated, guess what? Guess what? It's time for a new church. That's right. I'm saying it. It's time for a new church. In the true sense of what the church is, it's the circle. May the circle be not broken. The witches meet in what? A coven. What is the Bible full of? Covenants. Covens. So we got to ask ourselves, what is our ultimate goal and reality we're aiming for? Is the goal first, or is my status and my supremacy first? Am I more fixed on being right? That's right, Straight Panther. A new church centered around spirituality. And this new church is a university. The universities are dying. The church is dying. So it's time for a new church, a new university, a universal church, a new circle. I think that is an extension of the love, and it's the destiny of Melanin. It's Venus and the destiny of Melanin. Part of the reason I restarted this Patreon, I'm just gonna say it. That's my church. My idea of a church, you should be learning as much as you can learn for the edification of your soul and the betterment as well of your physical reality. That's all I got. Thank y'all for your time, your attention, your energy. And once again, Noble Beast, I wasn't coming at you. I want y'all to think I'm on here trying to attack you, but you know, You get so much stuff come across at you when you on these platforms. You be ready to pounce, but it's all love. Know that. So as always, I'm available for readings um, and coaching through my website 720astrology.com. I am um, I'm going to be making things more affordable so more people can afford what I do. For sure, Noble Beast, for sure. Um, I want to make myself more available to more people because I know everybody's money ain't funny, but some people's money is funny, and I know people are still longing to learn and evolve, and that's why I'm trying to make things more affordable, i.e., Patreon is only $5, you know, and I encourage you all. I got some things to share, and I want to share it before this new moon. I want to show you, I have some literature I'm going to show you on how you plan out what seeds you want to plant on the new moon. That's going to be over on the Patreon side. Um, Natural way, I'll go on and figure out what's going on because I'm just now restarting. So maybe it's not maybe I haven't officially uh, saved everything the way it's back up and actually functional. So let me figure out what's going on and I will keep y'all posted. And until then, stay down till you get up. You get up, stay down. Peace.